Now, you might have been seeing a lot of Alex Jones lately. He was the excited guest on Piers Morgan talking about gun control and some conspiracy theories. Well, he's going to join us now. He's, of course, the star of The Alex Jones Show. It is nationally syndicated through a lot of the radio stations in this country. And Infowars.com is a very popular website that he's involved with as well. Alex, thanks for joining us on the Young Turks.
It's good to be here. Been watching the show for years. All
right, great. And look, I'm hoping we have a productive conversation in the time limit that we have, go back and forth a little bit. So let me start with the first question. You've got a lot of I want to ask you about gun control. We're going to get to that in a second. That's why you've been in the news. But you have a lot of theories as to what's going on. I can't keep up with all the conspiracy theories. Now, and I don't say that dismissively because some of them are true. Gulf of Tonkin is true, of course. You know, I kid around about Operation Gladio, but that was something that the government has admitted that they did in the past, etc. But is there an overarching theme to all these conspiracy theories? What do you think is happening in the world?
It's not my opinion. There are hundreds of books written by the top technocrats in the last 60 or 70 years saying they wanted to design a global technocratic scientific dictatorship because the general public are a bunch of animals and we need to be dumbed down, corralled, and then finally phased out. And Bill Joy, back 12 years ago, wrote for Wired magazine that the future doesn't need us and talked about going to a tech conference with other billionaires where they discussed, do we keep humans around and entertain them, or do we just go ahead and get rid of the majority of the population? And he concluded that the majority of them wanted to get rid of the general population. And so he was writing this article warning people, saying, hey, there's discussions about whether we're just going to kill all of you. And the public said, okay, go ahead and kill us, because they just can't imagine that the establishment is this evil. Look, we're
Alex,
becoming an authoritarian country. We're losing our liberties. The NDAA, the warrantless wiretapping, the GMO, all of it. We're entering a dystopic nightmare, and I yell and scream to try to get people out of their trance. That's why I do that on purpose, is to get people out of the trance they're under.
Now, Alex, when you are concerned about government and its reach into our private lives and a violation of our rights like the NDAA, et cetera, I'm just as concerned. So, you know, I hear you on that completely. But when you start talking about this global conspiracy, you obviously lose me, right? And it doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong, but I think to a lot of people it's going to seem a little unbelievable. So flesh it out for me, including to me, honestly. It seems unbelievable to me. So who is it that wants to do this dystopia? Who are these puppet masters or whoever they are? And how many of them are there? And why do they want to kill us? I don't get that part.
Well, the time I interviewed him, he was the head of the Kissinger group, Rothkopf. He wrote Superclass about 5 years ago. You should interview him. And he said he came on my show to try to convince me global government's the way to go. He said there's 6,000 super gophers that run the whole planet, but there's less than 20 families that own it, and that they're busy mopping up the final countries that were sovereign, and that they're bringing in world government. I mean, there are thousands of articles in the Times of London, Newsweek, Time Magazine, announcing global government run by technocrats, and it's a scientific dictatorship. And if they're successful with their New World Order, people are going to wish later they would have listened and stopped this. These are 170 IQ, top scientists hired by the old robber baron families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all of them, on record, those old names. You can look up 10 years ago, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers merged their corporate businesses. Last year, they merged their family businesses. People are like, oh, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, ha, ha, ha. These are the families funding all these major world government moves. These are the people funding global zoning under Agenda 21 that is designed to make it impossible to be middle class. They want you poor and controlled. And I've read all their writings, and I'm upset by it because it's a public manifesto of ultra-Hitlerian evil that the globalists are pushing. And you say, listen, 2 years ago I had Nightline here, and they said, Mr. Jones, you claim there's a world government. And I said, I knew you'd ask that question. And I walked in there with the host of ABC Nightly News. And I walked in there to him, And I said, okay, I have it lined up. Here's Herman von Rompuy, head of the EU, saying the financial crisis will bring in global government. And then here's Gordon Brown saying it. And here's books written
Alex,
by
you're
them.
making a huge jump. You see, that's the thing. I mean, I profoundly disagree with you. You might not be surprised by that. But look, if you say that some people are in favor of a stronger United Nations, you're right. I'm in favor of a stronger United Nations. I'm in favor of
They call it world government. They call it world government.
Okay, you can call it world government, but I'm in favor. I mean, I could even say I'm in favor of world government because I want all of us to work together. I want the people of Ethiopia.
But it doesn't exist, though. I'm still crazy. You talk about it.
Okay, no. So, no, I'm saying I get it, right? But if you say, hey, corporations are incredibly powerful and they are buying our politicians through their political campaign contributions, etc. I get it, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's all logical because you can see, hey, a corporation is going to make more money if it gets tax cuts, et cetera. But when you then take the extra step, Alex, and say it's these 20 families, a lot of those families aren't even in power anymore. I mean, if you said it was ExxonMobil with their hundreds of millions of dollars in lobbying, that makes a lot more sense than saying Rockefellers, et cetera, which are mainly doing philanthropy work at this point. That's where I think people start to say, hey, I mean, it sounds a little crazy when you talk about these 20 families and how they're running the world. And why would the families even be against us? Like, like they've decided they're going to run the planet with robots? That doesn't sound right, Alex.
No, that's exactly what they say. That's what Bill Joy said, that they now have robots and that they're going to take human decision-making out of warfare with drones in the air, land, sea, and below the sea, and that they're now going to have robot armies, and so they don't even need men anymore who can refuse orders that are unconstitutional. Listen, I know this. This world government is being deployed. It's being set up. It's fundamentally anti-human. The controllers think that humans are a disease. We're overpopulated. We're dumb. We're stupid. They see themselves as another species in all their literature, and that they've romanticized this new world after we've been force culled. And then a remnant of the general population will be left in kind of an agrarian loincloth type setup, and then they will be in the high-tech command centers. Basically, Agenda 21 is the Hunger Games writ large. Agenda 21 is not imitating the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is imitating what is in the literature of nonfiction books written by H.G. Wells. Yeah. H.G. Wells, decades before they openly invented the atomic bomb, wrote about atomic bombs and atomic theory. These guys are way more advanced technologically than the general public knows, about 30 years. They're playing God. That's why they're so arrogant. And they are saying that once the world government's in place, they're going to have controlled releases of plagues that reduce our population down to about 10% of what it is today. And I just think
that sounds crazy, Alex. Come on. Look, I mean, look, you know, I just... the plagues, and I read somewhere that you think Hollywood's in on it in the zombie movie. Tell me about that.
Well, no, I mean, I know for a fact that Homeland Security, the Marine Corps, the CDC are putting out manuals about what to do during a zombie apocalypse as a
Alex,
pretext.
They were kidding. I saw those memos. They were kidding around like, ha, if there's a zombie apocalypse,
listen,
here's what you should do.
Do you actually want me to explain to you what's going on?
All right, go ahead. One more. Yep.
Listen, it's not that I'm looking at their fiction and then projecting things onto it. They show the zombies in all these films dressed up in football jerseys and stuff. It's used as a simulant to create the archetypal imprint. I've talked to top ad people in Hollywood, off record, they admit this, to prepare us to see crowds of people mowed down. That's why the Marine Corps couldn't do drills in San Diego last year of mowing down U.S. citizens. I had gone and gotten footage of that a decade ago and became major news. They were practicing killing Americans. But now they can just say, oh, they're zombies, and do their training to mow down citizens during a revolt. It's used as a cover. Oh, it's a joke. We're training to lock down San Francisco or San Diego and mow down, people dressed like American citizens. Right. It's a psychological simulant cover. This is psych warfare.
I want to ask you a question about how you're perceived when you say that. but I want to do it in conjunction with your appearance on the Piers Morgan Show. Now, this is an edited version. We took some of the highlights of what you said. I just want the audience to know that. I'm going to show it to you, and I want to get your reaction. Here, let's watch.
Why do you want to deport me?
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again. Why don't you come to America? I'll take you out shooting. You can become an American and join the Republic. Do you understand? To ask me some little factoid. How many great white sharks
How many
kill people every year, but they're scared to swim? How many chimpanzees can dance on the head of a pin? There's no metal shark in the water. Have me back with a boxing ring in here, and I'll wear red, white, and blue, and you can wear your Jolly Roger.
Alex.
Suicide pills. I can speak in this accent as well.
Yeah.
Mass murder pills.
Okay.
Now, Alex, I know it's unfair to edit it together, but you did say all those things, and, you know, I enjoyed the English accent. But when you say the U.S. government is preparing people by working with Hollywood in a conspiracy to pretend we're zombies and mow us down, and then you do that on CNN, do you get why people think you're a little touched?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you again. The Army and Marine Corps do drills where hundreds of role players dressed up in Dallas Cowboy jerseys and John Deere hats come towards them and they shoot them. Meanwhile, just 2 years ago, the real training manuals were to mow down citizens, and these are declassified. And so they said, look, we'll just call it zombies and say it's a joke. They're practicing in real drills, not a joke, to mow down citizens, and you always dehumanize someone, the Jews, others, before you kill them. You say they're not human. They're saying, oh, we're practicing to mow down people in U.S. cities, but they're not citizens, they're zombies. It's a cover for the training. But let's go back. All those things you edited it out, 15 minutes on air or whatever. I said all that on purpose. I said all that to get people out of their trance so they would hear the brutal truth. Let me expand on this. When Jaws came out in the 1970s, on average, I looked it up, there were 5 great white shark killings, deaths a year, from Australia to the west coast of the United States, worldwide, South Africa, all of it included. On average, it's 5. You can look it up. Some years it's as low as 2, sometimes as high as 8. 5 great white killings a year. But you can pull this up. In fact, I did a piece on it showing all the news articles from the mid-70s when it came out, like 75 or something. The point is, I did a report on this. For 2 years, they had to start running PSAs and magazine articles with the statistics because all the coastal towns of the world, even where there's no great whites, down in the Southern Pacific, had to run ads saying great white sharks only kill a few people a year. It's a movie. So that movie made people not go swimming worldwide and killed about half the business for 2 years. And some actuaries show have cut back people going to the beach upwards of 10% 30 plus years later. It's the same thing with the guns. Statistically, to be killed by a semi-auto firearm in a school is incredibly rare. 88 people a year in mass shootings total, less than 30 of those in school shootings. It's still terrible, a tragedy, but they take it and they project it. But when Obama kills little kids with a drone, it's just collateral damage. There's no fake crying. So that was my point about there's no metal shark out there.
So I get that. And I think the drone program is hideous, and we talk about it on the show all the time. Hi, this is Cenk Uygur. To see more of the Young Turks, go to current.com/getcurrent to make sure you get Current TV.